Well, that was quick. Here we are. Pod is live. The filtering is not any fun when they lose.
Mm-hmm.
No, the pre-show is worse.
I could have eaten during the podcast, but I decided against it. I thought about
it. Oh man. Well, I don't know with the ascot restricting your
that's true. Eating canal. Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been dangerous.
Yeah, that's right. I might not be wrong.
All right, another 10 seconds. I usually let them filter for 1 minute. I decided I was only going to have a stateside vodka soda if they won, but you know what? It's here, and I had it in the freezer for 5 minutes, so it's feeling good. All right, let's do it. The Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. And brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. And our friends at Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter. Get your party pack of vodka sodas now at statesidevodka.com. All right, on the show today, Joel Embiid's worst game of the playoffs, maybe his worst game of the season, and the Sixers lose, and the series is tied 2-2. Also, Kyrie Irving gets hurt. Bucks tie the series. Sixers have 3 players in the all-defense team. Nikola Jokic is no longer available, and Haralabob is running the Mavericks, shadow running the Mavericks. The pod is being recorded live on YouTube and Twitch and Twitter. Give us your questions, and we will get to them later in the pod with producer CJ as well. If you donate on YouTube, we don't get as many donations when they lose, but if you donate on YouTube, it's not quite as good. But step up because the donations are going to Providence Animal Center and Coded by Kids. We will donate at the end of the playoffs. I think that's all I got. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rice and Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with the one guy who knows why Shake Milton didn't just shoot the fucking ball, Mike Levin.
I mean, the play was to hit Seth off a screen, and he got a good look at it. It was a tough shot, but hit rim.
I don't know.
It's really very close.
I mean, there's a lot to talk about, but he dribbles the ball up. He's played well. Curry has played well too.
No, I want him to take that shot, but I don't blame a bench player. For
not running the play,
for not running, failing to run the play,
right?
Or for running the play that Doc designed. And I thought it was a little bit late to get him the ball, obviously, and Seth was taking his time, but he did get it off, and he got it, missed by an inch. So tough game.
Tough game.
I'm not that frustrated. I feel sad about Joel. I hope he's okay. Clearly, the thing that happened in the second quarter affected him for the rest of the game. I don't think he made a shot the rest of the game aside from foul shots. He was like 0 for 10 or something in the second half.
0 for 12, I believe.
0 for 12, including a big layup that he always makes to take the lead. So hopefully it would have been really nice to win this game, and then you could maybe rest him 3-1 at home and allow him to get treatment or whatever it is. But they don't have that luxury now. It was a frustrating game because the Hawks basically did what they wanted to do the whole time, which is keep the ball in Trae Young's hands allow him to make all of the decisions. He had 18 assists. The rest of the team had 6 total. The Sixers only forced 4 turnovers, which is ridiculous for them. They still contested hard. The Hawks didn't shoot that well, and I don't think it was just because they missed shots. I think a lot of it was because they were contested and they did get there, but they didn't do a good enough job of getting the ball out of Trae's hands. And what we talked about in game 1 and some of game 2, they just allowed Trae to get downhill over and over again. He's getting in the paint. He's allowing him to turn the corner, all that stuff. And he's 3 for 11 on threes in this game. He's not a great outside shooter. He really isn't, but he's an absolutely elite floater and lob threat.
Yeah.
And
he's one of the best lob throwers I think I've probably ever seen.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you allow him to do that, and I think sometimes they did, sometimes Ben was a little bit light on the cover. I'd honestly rather them go under on screens on him and
let him shoot it.
And let him shoot it. I mean, like I don't, it's not like ideal, but compared to pick and roll, you're trailing behind them, he's, rising up for a floater or a lob or whatever it is. You can't let him get the ball in the paint. You got to get the ball out of his hands. And you see what happens when you get the ball out of his hands in that late game possession when Tobias came over and doubled him, when Korkmaz switched on, and they rotate the ball, and all of a sudden John Collins is forced to make a play. He throws a rocket pass off of Clint Capella, and it's a turnover. And it's just, this team does not have enough guys that can do things other than Trae. And he played 41 minutes, so it's not like there's much time, but you really just got to get the ball out of his hands, and you got to prevent him from going downhill. And if that happens, even when Embiid doesn't play well, you're going to win the game, but they didn't do enough of that.
Well, from the very start, the game, the Sixers came out to a big lead, but it was a pretty sloppy game from the beginning. And that I think on some level favors the Hawks, because the Sixers never get set defensively, and it's scattered, and they certainly, the Hawks have more shooters than the Sixers do. And I think that sort of a game favors them. But I don't want to put off the Embiid thing. I kind of want to do it at the top. So obviously a terrible game from Embiid, but
I honestly think the first half was great. I thought he was pretty excellent in the first half, and I think he still hung defensively really well. I thought the jumper looked good. I thought he had 20
rebounds. I think.
Yeah,
right?
I thought he did a really good job, except for the second half. He just stopped making shots. He just couldn't do it, and so I really worry what's going on with him. But he was still excellent and still, doing a lot of things defensively to prevent them from scoring and protecting the rim. But yeah, the offense really fell off a cliff, and I think after a time you got to just stop going to him.
Well, so at the start of the game, he's not the hardest guy in the world to read. And before he even went out with the injury, there was a pretty blank look on his face most of the first half until he went out. So then he goes out. They report on TNT that he goes out because he was laying. So the fact that he was laying on the floor makes me think it was his back. I don't know what they reported. I'm sure that CJ will probably tell us. Somebody will say afterwards what it was. I tend to, I'm projecting here and tea leaf reading, but I tend to think it was his back. They worked on it. They warmed it up. He was okay for the rest of the half. And then it got stiff at halftime. And he just, he wasn't getting any lift on any of his shots. He wasn't really moving very well laterally. Even the layup that he missed at the end, basically sort of fell short. With the way he's played all year and the way he's played in the playoffs, I don't chalk this up to a bad game from him. I think he's hurt, but it reminded me, and I think it reminded a lot of people of hurt Embiid from the Raptors game, where the Raptors series, where you look at the end of the series or the end of the game, and the numbers are pretty good, but watching it, you could just tell that he wasn't there. And I'm pretty worried that it's not a thing that happened during the game, that it's all of it that has sort of caught up to him.
Sure.
And now it's it's every other day, for the rest of the series. So I feel for him a little bit, and I'm more than a little bit, and I'm concerned, and I hope all it was a tired guy and not a hurt guy.
Yeah, I hope so. I do think he looked really good in the first half. So I do think something started bothering him more. I thought he passed really well. He found Ben underneath for an N1. He was showing the quick passing decisiveness that I like. then they didn't double him, and then he put Capella in the rim like on the next play after that. So I do think he was like feeling the game really well. And then after he came back, his offense just like wasn't there. He was making weird bad passes, the lazy like missing guys on stuff.
A quick three in a spot where he doesn't usually take a quick three, like down the stretch, and
I put some of,
quick three.
Yeah, I put some of. I think the Hawks got a bunch of. They didn't shoot well. The Hawks shot 36% from the field and won. Like that's tough. That's tough to do. And I think they got a bunch of second chances because of sometimes a failure to box out. Little Sixers turned the ball over. They didn't turn the ball over a ton, but 12-4. That's a big disparity. They got more possessions out of it. And then Joel started, I think, gambling for fouls and take himself out of the game a little bit. And the refs just like weren't calling it. And then that leads to open transition looks and stuff. I wasn't mad. I was mad at some point during the game, but then they missed. And it was just like, just more concern and sadness for Joel that they couldn't just win this game on a bad Joel game. They couldn't like just get enough buckets here and there, enough turnovers here and there to win it. But
yeah, it would have been a nice, hey, we played like shit. Joel played like shit. Like they already lost one where he played great, game one. Maybe I felt like maybe they'd get it back, they'd steal one, but they didn't steal.
They had 38 points in the second half. They had 38 points. And that's Joel and Ben both had a bad second half. Ben had like something like 8, 10, and 8 or something at halftime and finished 11, 12, and 9. And I think it's just like they just got both of them. Well, Ben stopped doing things and Joel just missed everything. And it just between the two of them, just if they're not the engine of something, then it's really hard to do much. And you could tell on the court, like the Hawks were playing with a ton of aggressiveness. They knew that if they lost this game, the series was over. And, the Sixers were on their heels and not playing like the bigger downhill, better team that they are. And that was a good showing from the Hawks. They're a good offensive team. Trae Young's an incredible player. Tough loss, frustrating loss. That's why I'm wearing the loser ascot
around the throat.
I don't like having to put it on. I don't like having to choke out my my lungs for this team. But I have to stay true to myself. And after a loss, this is who I am. Barely breathing. Very sad.
We will get to your questions on YouTube. It's mostly just everyone fighting in the comments about whether it was Simmons' fault or Embiid's fault, but we'll get to those in a bit. Give us your questions on YouTube, Twitch, and we did get one $20 donation, so thank you for the donation. Remember, it's going to good charities. We'll get to those in a bit. The rights to Ricky Sanchez is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I was looking at they always take the odds, the championship odds down during the game. But prior to the game, even with the Irving injury, Harden's not coming back, so on and so forth, the Sixers were still 5th in championship odds. Still, the Nets were number 1, Jazz were number 2, Suns were number 3, Bucks were number 4, and the Sixers were 5th, they were plus 600 to win the title before tonight's game, which I thought was odd. With all that happened to Brooklyn, I don't know. As good as the Sixers had looked prior to this game, I thought it was odd. I thought there was some value there. DraftKings Sportsbook, my favorite sportsbook. I didn't bet on that. I haven't bet on the Sixers to win the title. I feel like it's a bit of a mush. But if you want to, go ahead. You bet on anybody. DraftKings Sportsbook is easy to use. It is pretty intuitive, even for a dumb person like me. You deposit your money, it goes right in. You withdraw your money, it comes right out because it's based right here in the States. And they're giving you a chance to turn $1 into $100. Any basketball playoff game, you bet $1 on a team. If you're a new user, you get $100 in site credits if you win. Bet $1, win $100 if you win. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code RTRS when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free credits. Bet on the basketball team of your choice to win their next game. And if they do, you will claim $100 in free credits. That's promo code RTRS for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Wager paid out in site credits. Restrictions apply in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Who do you want to go to next? I thought, obviously Curry pretty much, I felt like was their Curry and Harris to extent I felt like was most of their offense in the first half. I don't even know what to say that was good. Ben was not good, and Ben is shooting like under 30% from the line and
wasn't on the floor at the last possession, which is, I mean, I was surprised Atlanta didn't foul up 3. I think that was a mistake, which they should have done even if Ben was or wasn't on the floor. But yeah, to not have him on the floor late is an indictment of his shooting ability, and hopefully is something that he takes seriously and takes offense to, that he can work on his game to not have that happen in the future.
We had talked about that at work one day. We were wondering if Doc would pull him, and the first thing we saw was Doc pulling him before not in this game, but before the 2 minutes, so they wouldn't do Hackabin, I guess, against Washington, I think it was.
Yeah.
But then we were wondering, hey, in crunch time, will they just not have him on the floor? And my position was that wouldn't happen until Eastern Conference Finals, the finals, when Doc feels like that it's all within reach and he wants to grab it. I'm kind of surprised it happened this early in the playoffs. Honestly.
You got to win. You got to win these games. You got to do what's best for your team to win basketball games. And the Hawks aren't like a walkover. They're just not. They're a really good offensive team. And when they play as hard as they did tonight, I just saw a Doc quote saying that they outworked them all game, which is true. I felt it at the time, and a lot of people. Korkmaz hits that big 3 to put him up 4, and then they come down, get a nice stop, and Tobias and Dwight. I think it was Dwight. It might have been Embiid. It's probably Embiid. Tobias and Embiid slow on the rebounds. They do that sort of walk to the basket, long rebound type of thing. It feels like the Sixers perennially giving up long rebounds, just to the bane of our existence. Tobias doesn't need to walk in under the basket when Embiid's there. He's got it there. You will be the long rebound guy. I wish that was more of a communication tool. Would have been nice over the years, but that didn't happen. And John Collins hustled to get it. George Hill runs his ass off to get it, doesn't get it, and then it becomes like they have transition and all that stuff. So frustrating. Tobias, yeah, I thought he was fine. I thought Tobias was mostly fine. I think
Well, I don't know whose job it was. I'm sorry. How does John Collins do that in the third quarter? A
lot of offensive rebounds and just hustling for stuff. Yeah, I mean I think part of that is Ben. I think he ball watches a lot. When he's on ball, that's very excellent. I think off ball, he has a tendency to get beat on rebounds like that. Usually thinks he can just out jump people, and usually he can. But John Collins obviously very quick and strong and can leap. And so not put a body on him. I think healthy Embiid just gets it or puts a body on him, or is just too big and anticipating that it wouldn't happen. But over and over again, just getting offensive rebounds, getting easy plays out of it. And the Sixers couldn't. They just nothing in the second half was easy whatsoever. They had 16, 18 point lead in the first half, and to lose this game is a lot of bad things had to happen, because I thought they looked really, really good in the first half. And then just everything, the wheels totally fell off. I still thought they would win. I thought that they would pull away when they were up 4. But just not enough. Just too many guys doing the wrong thing, and Embiid missing a couple shots here and there. And it's frustrating. It's a frustrating loss, because now it's 2-2 and you got to win. They got to win 2 straight. You can't let this game get to a game 7. You got to win by 1,000 at home. We didn't want to have to come back to Atlanta, but that's what it is.
2 of the worst performances of the game, I would say. I mean, Cork hit a big shot, but man, he looked like he had never played with the Sixers before for most of the game. I thought he was he was terrible. And
really?
George Cork?
I didn't find that.
Really?
Sometimes you get a different feel of the game when you're watching it and fast forward, the bad plays you can just get past really quickly. But
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
I thought his defense was pretty good. I thought he had Gallinari in the post a couple times and held his ground. He had 2 blocks, a couple on those, and a couple nice plays. I thought he stayed with Herter on the perimeter nicely. Switching Korkmaz onto Herter over Seth, I think, has helped the series a lot, because he was a real weapon for them in the first 2 games. He had a nice block from behind on a Trae floater, which I liked. He genuinely has good hands. But then he did have my favorite. I have to give Korkmaz the Danny of the game for diving for a loose ball that he missed by 10 feet. At least. Like at half court, he's like, I'm diving for it. Misses by a million. I don't know if he thought like there was less time in the shot clock where if he just knocks it away, then the possession's over. But there was like 12 seconds left in the shot clock, and they had plenty of time to get an easy look out of it. So that was tough. So that's very Danny of the game for him. And I thought he hit a couple big threes, like when the offense.
He did hit a couple big threes. Yep.
But yeah, not an excellent Korkmaz game, not a hot Korkmaz game. But I didn't think he was. I might be wrong, but my quick watch of this game as I got home from work was that Korkmaz played fine.
Oh, I thought he was a disaster, but I don't know. Who knows? Maybe who knows? I have no idea. Yeah. You know, why do we watch the games first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth
I started
quarter?
watching in reverse. I immediately watched the game and just started rewinding. Great.
George Hill was bad too. George Hill, not a great George Hill game either. So those two guys. I mean, like, look, if we're at a spot where Cork and George Hill are. But you know what? Everyone's got to. If we're gonna celebrate when they have great games, then they got to be criticized when they have bad games too.
Yeah.
You know, you need everybody. So
I think it was a team win and a team loss. Like I think some like I didn't think that George Hill did too many egregious things. I think it was just like there was a lack of cohesion and a lack of urgency in the second quarter. Like they played really well in the first half. Like they were up 62-49. Like that's scoring against the team offensively. That's keeping this team from getting where they want it. And then the third quarter, fourth quarter, I don't know if it was tired. I don't know if it was just taking your foot off the gas, but they just like allowed them to do what they wanted and kept being on their heels when the Hawks started getting aggressive. And that's everybody. I think, without Shake's eight points at the beginning of the fourth quarter, they probably lose by like 10.
Yeah.
Because he had a huge run to survive those non-Joel minutes.
He seems back, by the way, which is nice.
Yeah,
Shake seems back.
He's very in control of his game, and for a while it was like he was forcing it, and right now it just seems he's like really, really solid across the board. And I wouldn't mind him taking more shots. Like if you got an open three, like let that thing fly. He's just there's too many guys that are not consistent with how they let it fly, and Shake is a guy that I trust with the ball in his hands. And so if he gets it, I want him to shoot it. I thought Dwight was pretty good. I thought he did I thought he moved best. This is the best like perimeter defense I thought he's shown in a while. I didn't think he was most of the series. I thought he's looked pretty bad when he's forced to move his feet. And I thought he did a decent job of that in this game. And I thought he did his normal, like, I'm getting offensive rebounds. I mean, 10 rebounds in 12 minutes is insane.
It's crazy.
And it's when he's doing his job, it's like just so hard to play against him. It just has to suck to play against him and just get punished by people again and again. And so I think that Shake and Dwight had a good rapport on the second unit. Like, this was not a game that the second unit lost them. It wasn't. The second unit hung in there. And Embiid and Simmons both finished with an even plus minus. So, and they lost game by 3. So that's fine. That is ultimately like a fine situation for the bench to hang in like that.
This one was on Embiid and Simmons. I mean, this was on Embiid and Simmons. I thought Tobias Harris was fine. Seth Curry was good enough. Cork was not. You know what? At the end of the day, this game screams Danny Green game-winning 3. That's just it. Just does.
You're still counting them. You're still counting them from the preseason prediction. Yeah, I thought Seth is offensively really carrying this team. Like, he is the borderline focal point of the offense. If not him taking all the shots, he only took 10 shots. Him like running the offense through him and forcing the defense to defend him or make a play on him or anything. He's just like really, the offense plays like in the playoffs, on ball, off ball, step backs, drives. He doesn't move like his brother does off ball. Obviously no one does, but he does find sneaky ways to get open still. And it's really helpful. I was worried that it wouldn't in, 30 plus minutes in a playoff game. I was worried it wouldn't really play, but it does. And his jumper is automatic. I think again, I've been disappointed in his defense all series. I think, you tried to hide him on Herter. That didn't work. You tried to hide him on Bogdanovich. It's not even hiding. Bogdanovich is a good player, but he's not as punishing as and willing to like get all the way to the rim as Herter as he hasn't been. But I thought he just lost Bogdan on defense over and over again, like dying on screens or going the long way around them or something. That's frustrating. And I think the team as a whole just gave up too many open shots in transition, too many not communicating, too many like covering the same guy, then leaving somebody else wide open. And maybe that's without Danny, he's a stabilizing force in there. And so they're trying to just like get up to speed, but it was, I don't know, man, 38 points in the second half. And it's not like the defense collapsed. The Hawks only scored 54. Like that's not much. It was like a hard fought battle. It's just like they didn't make enough plays. They didn't seem to be the aggressive team. They didn't get out in transition, get easy buckets. And Ben was doing that in the first half, and it looked great. And I thought he was super confident, looking to attack for himself and draw the defense to attack for others. But that just disappeared. It just like straight up disappeared. And they were running the offense through him in the post. They had a Tobias cut underneath and a Seth flare for three. They had those working. I thought they exploited mismatches pretty well when they had Trae on him, and they got easy looks out of it. And then all of it just disappeared. Like it just went away. And I don't know if it's just we thought we were going to win and so we can rest easy, or Embiid's injury rattled other people, or whatever it was. It didn't continue in the second half, and they deserve to lose the game for sure.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, look, it's there's a million different reasons, and I'm not this isn't the only one, but at the end of the day, it just sometimes it's when Embiid isn't going, it can get really hard for them to score. Yeah, it can get excruciating because they even when Tobias has it going, it's just like you're playing for these 17 footers a lot. It's just like it just gets hard for them to score, especially when he's not doing it, and that's what happened to him.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing where I would have gone away from Embiid earlier. Like he's 0 for 8, he's 0 for 10. Like
well, what are you going toward though?
I would try to run the offense through Shake or Maxey, and allow those guys. And Maxey had one shot in 7 minutes. He hit that corner three. That was nice. I like put some pressure on the team. It's just the second half, there was just no pressure on the defense aside from those like little that Shake 8-point run early in the fourth quarter, and Embiid's missing shots and getting blocked and getting called for charges and all that stuff. It just all disappeared. And I think I don't know. The Ben's flagrant on John Collins is frustrating to me. I'm not a flagrant foul guy. It's like he's about to get an open dunk. If hitting him and preventing the open dunk is a flagrant foul, then just say that you're not allowed to foul someone when they're about to dunk. Like it's against the rules to foul someone if they're about to dunk. Because if you just slap him on the wrist, he's gonna finish through that. It's just frustrating that it's like, man. It's stupid. It's
we do this ref thing every fucking game.
No, but it's not about that call specifically. They have it in every game and every team, and it happens for the Sixers also. I think the Sixers get called for more flagrant fouls than most teams. My eye test, but it's just frustrating when it's just like, yeah, he's got an open dunk, so you have to foul him hard to stop it. But then it's just like coaches should just tell players, just let him have the dunk. Just allow them to have easy dunks, because then it's 2 foul shots on the ball. Because they're going to call that every time. The
problem with the Simmons one is I don't even think he hit his arm. Like I think he got his midsection. I agree to some. Like obviously this is different than it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and I don't think you should be able to clobber the guy. But it does seem like how hard you hit the guy. And if you don't get the arm at all, like it didn't even seem like he was going for the ball at all, but whatever, they call it the same for everybody. I think
it's stupid. I think the way they ref the game is really stupid. But it's obviously not like impacting the game that much. They should have, they shouldn't allowed him to get that open, but yeah, I don't know. I thought Matisse played okay. I thought he caught well. I liked.
He got scared around the perimeter,
and he was shooting fine. Like it wasn't like he was missing. I need him to just shoot those shots.
He missed 2 of them, and he got terrified. And there were a bunch where there was one possession where I think it was Collins just like stood 15 feet off of him, and Matisse
helping Joel on the post. And it's just like I don't know, man. If it's the same thing with Ben's free throws. Like if he hits 2, then they're all of a sudden being like, well, fuck, we're giving the guy a wide open three.
Yeah.
We're giving him open, just like walks to the line. Then they'll stop doing it. But he's in his head where he's like, if he misses too many, then he's like, I can't keep doing this. He did have a nice pass to a wide open Tobias on the block off a drive that Tobias then went up very soft for, and John Collins blocked it. But I am always on the lookout for Matisse passing creativity. It is an element of his game that I am excited about in the future. So any opportunity to take and say it, I will. I thought he played better defense on Trae than Ben did, just keeping him in front of him, where Ben seemed to die on screens a little bit more.
Well, I think Ben eventually will get Ben's probably too big to be on Trae as much as they have him on Trae. Like just he's a great athlete, but chasing around a guy that little around screen after screen after screen, it's like I just don't know if he can do it all game. With somebody his size. I don't know if any one player can do it, but certainly Ben's almost 7 feet tall. Like that's a
of course.
That's a tough putt,
I think that's probably right. I think that they could have done a better job in the second half of making it hard on Trae on defense, and they kind of went away from it, whether that was running corkmouths through screens or punishing early transition mismatches or anything. I don't know, man. Just annoying that we have to go back to Atlanta at some point. I don't like it. It should have been a win, and I hope the Sixers are pissed at themselves and know that they just let their foot off the gas.
This sounds dumb as shit, but finishing it in 5 and finishing it in 6 sounds excruciatingly longer. Like 6 games, because now they have to. Now there's no easiness. Like now that the series just got hard again. So we will get to your questions next after we tell you about Big Barker therapeutic dog beds. Now it's storming around here. I don't know if it's also storming in Los Angeles, Mike, but it is storming in Philadelphia. Hail. There was hail earlier. The lights keep dimming. My dog, not afraid of storms. I don't know is Donovan afraid of storms and fireworks and shit?
No,
Rebel is not.
Donovan's not that afraid of it, but Dasher is my John and Colleen's dog, who I am a godparent to.
Rebel has 2 Big Barkers. Big Barker is the only dog bed on the market. BigBarker.com/Ricky. Well, not the only dog bed, the only real dog bed. What do we mean by real? The only dog bed made with like thick, like supportive foam that supports your dog's joints. Your dog deserves to sleep on a real bed. Your dog should not be sleeping on a piece of shit. If you care about your dog, which the only reason you adopt a dog is to treat it like a king or a queen. It's the only reason, to make their lives amazing. They can't have an amazing life without an amazing bed because they sleep 18 hours out of the day. BigBarker.com/Ricky. The Big Barker dog beds have been proven by Penn Vet to support your dog's joints, to promote enhanced energy and mobility levels in older dogs, reduce wear and tear in younger dogs, improve their quality of life. And if you go to BigBarker.com/Ricky, you get the Big Barker dog bed and 2 processed pup patches. Big Barkers, it's called Big. They have them for every dog size, even little dogs. They have the Barker Jr. All right. There's a 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. A 1-year at-home trial. Try it for a full year. For any reason you don't like it, your dog doesn't like it, they give you full refund. They even pay for the shipping. Weber, for some reason, Mike Weber, the Spike Lee that writes Ricky Sanchez podcast, just sent me a picture of his dog on the Big Barker the other day. Just a text message with a picture of the dog.
I told him to.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog beds. All right.
Sean O'Connor made a good point on Twitter that I'm now catching up on, that they should have won game 1 if the bench unit in the second quarter did not lose by 1,000. And this game had the total feel of a gentleman's sweep. You steal one down 3-0, but because you lost that one, now that's why the play Embiid fewer minutes or try to like steal things everywhere you can. Like, don't take Ben out for free throws until this round or whatever. It's the playoffs, and like the view of the series changes so much. 3-1 versus 2-2. Like any game just matters so much in a 7-game series that you just can't take anything for granted. And they did in the first game. Doc was not prepared. to play a playoff lineup, not just 5 bench players for a time, especially when they didn't have Shake in there to stabilize it when Shake wasn't playing bad, and they lost the game because of it. Even in a great Joel game. And now this game that Joel struggled through, and then Ben fell asleep in the second half and that guys started missing shots, and they just didn't, Hawks playing their asses off, which they did. Now it hurts more. It wouldn't hurt as much if it was 3-0 and they lose the game 4. But because now it's 2-2, then you go like, well, fuck, it's a series.
It is a series. We bring on producer CJ to take your questions. If you haven't gotten one in, you could do it if you're watching on Twitch or Twitter or YouTube. CJ, what do you got?
Let's go to Not So Far Off on Twitch. He wants to know, is this game an indicator of where Embiid is headed for the rest of the playoffs with his injuries, or is it just an off game?
Well, we don't know. As I said before, I worry that this is all of the falls and the knee grabs and the winces. I worry that it's all catching up to him at one, and he has gone all out in a way that, he's played more minutes, and he's just gone all out in a way that you could tell that he had made a decision that he was going to do that in these playoffs. And every time he winced and every time he grabbed and every time he fell, I wondered if it was like what the one was that was going to push him over the edge. So I'm more worried than I want to be. That's my position.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to get easier. It's not like he's going to get through this and then he gets to relax. If they'd won this game, maybe then he would have had a 3-4 days off before the next round, maybe more. But it's just going to be about, tolerance and pain management. I'm choosing to believe now. I'm pivoting. Did you see that Corgi video before the series?
The Corgi video?
Yeah, there's a video of a Corgi shooting, nosing balls into 2 baskets on the stairs. And one basket says Hawks, one basket says Sixers. No. And through 4 games, the Corgi is exactly correct in which games who won which. And then Corgi predicts game 5 and 6 both go to the Sixers. So far we are on track for Corgi, Sixers, and 6. So
that sounds like the most reasonable. Yeah,
I think it has to be. I think at this point that's as good of a statistic as we can get.
What's next, TJ? The next CJ. The next name better have 69 in it, or you're fired.
Yeah, I guess I'm heading out tonight. Thank you guys for having me.
Digging for it.
Yeah,
and honestly, shame on the 69 accounts for not sending in questions. So CJ can keep his job.
It doesn't have to have 69 in it. I'm just kidding, CJ. What's next?
Yeah, so a lot of people are asking about Cork. I'm putting this one on the screen asking, should Cork start game 5? But earlier, David Road asked, thoughts on taking out Shake for Cork in the 4th quarter?
Well, okay. First question: should Cork start game 5? I would start Cork again.
Yeah, I have no problem with it. I think Shake's creation and creativity is better with a mostly bench unit, especially Tobias being the only guy out there. I think you need a little bit more. I would try to go to Maxey a little bit more. I wonder if you start to see less George Hill. How many minutes he played tonight? He was not that effective in 14 minutes. Maxey had 7. Matisse had 22. Korkmaz had 26. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't think the play is like tinker with the lineup. I don't think that's the right situation here. I think it's just you got to prevent the Hawks from doing exactly what they want. I don't think they blitzed more than once all game.
No, they didn't. Well, I wonder coverage. I wonder if a lot of that had to do with like Embiid.
If that's the case, then I mean I know Dwight was playing well, as well as Dwight does, but then why not try to go, small front court where you can switch everything, where you can hedge a little bit more and get back. It's not like Capella, he has one hook shot a game that goes in. He's not like pounding defenders, and Simmons can, Embiid's very good at defense and does things that we can't even like quantify and identify as what they need. But without him out there, without him, get the ball out of his hands, like double hedge and then recover. And I don't know, or have Embiid play drop and have other guys switch onto him, like cross switching diagonally, like stuff that Utah does with Gobert, to allow him to keep protecting the rim. And it just seems like they just didn't adjust, and we're just happy to allow Trae to walk into the lane over and over again.
Give us another one, CJ.
Yeah, before the next question, I'm just going to lighten the mood a little bit by sharing this video of the Corgi.
Oh, there we go.
Hold on. I got to watch it.
He makes the first Hawks, then he makes the Sixers, and then it's the Sixers again. And there we go with the Hawks, and then the last two are the Sixers. So the next.
So the Corgi's not really shooting a ball. This is like a phone game. Okay.
No.
All right.
No, he was tapping it with his head.
He was nosing the ball.
I play it again. Hold on. I think the dog was nosing, but that doesn't look like a real ball to me.
No, it is. I think the video is, at least on my end, it's choppy, but when you watch it on your own, like it's okay. It exists. It's not.
So the dog's really fucking good at like just shooting from 6 stairs away.
I'm sure he missed sometimes. I'm sure this took a while, but impressive showing from the Corgi, even if they cut out his misses. On this podcast, we don't cut anything, so my misses are here for everybody. So
right.
I'm a better performer than the Corgi is, but I respect what he does, and I would not deign to say that was edited or CGI ball or something.
But I know this isn't a question, but Richard Fitzwell donates $9.99 and says the next pod artwork needs to have Simmons and Embiid joined together at the neck by a loser ascot.
That's pretty good.
That's good.
I can't believe he missed that layup. That stuff. To not get fouled or just make that layup. It just didn't. He didn't have like the balance he usually has.
Yeah, it reminded
like it was the kind of at least get fouled, at least pivot. If he's not the guy that goes like, like a guard or Shaker Maxey or something, or Ben goes like running into the stands and takes his momentum there. So he fires it off the backboard. Like he goes straight up or dunks or gets fouled or whatever it is. He just didn't seem like he had his balance right.
The questions are brought to us by our friends at Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, the sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter. These vodka sodas, they're new. You can get the party pack at statesidevodka.com. They're 95 calories, real juice, no added sugar, gluten-free, 4 flavors: orange, black cherry, pineapple, lemon, cucumber, mint. I'm having the orange tonight. I think it's the best. Statesidevodka.com. Please, you got to be 21. Give us another question. One more question. Do we have another question, CJ?
Yeah, we got one more. A lot of people are asking about George Hill. Having this one on the screen, and earlier, Sport Angles asked, to what extent should we be concerned about George Hill's ineptitude on both ends of the court this playoff run?
Oh, I really don't think he's been that bad. He's had a couple
don't think so either.
Danny type plays. I thought he started off normal in this game, and then he had like a weird caught in the air turnover. He had one nice play in transition where Embiid was either complaining about a foul or something, where Capella had Hill on his back and George sneaks around and pokes it out before he can catch it. I think he's been fine. He has not added a ton of value. He has not been crazy dynamic, and I don't expect him to be.
He's fucking 35. He hadn't played in 3 months, and they got him for a couple of second-round picks. What are we doing here? He's been fine. I agree with you.
I think he was better in the regular season and in the Wizards series, and I think he has been very helpful and seemingly is always in the right place a couple times. But the past few games have been pretty rough, and he needs to play better, especially without Danny. There's not that many two-way guys on the team anymore. You're worried about Ben in some ways offensively. You're worried about Matisse offensively. You're worried about Seth defensively, especially in this playoffs. Korkmaz has been holding his own, but you're not going to put him on anybody really tough. You're worried about Maxey as a rookie, really. But so George Hill needs to contribute more. But I'm not crazy concerned going forward. I think he's going to have a couple nice games.
We got some other stuff to get to before we go. Thank you, CJ, for the questions. Appreciate that, producer CJ. A good bit of news that happened before the game. I wanted to get to the all-defense team, the couple other playoff series going on, and then, of course, Haralabob running the Mavericks from a shadow position in the back room of the Dallas Mavericks. So Ben Simmons makes first team all defense. Joel Embiid makes second team all defense. And Matisse Thybulle, the fewest minutes per game of all time to make an all defense team, just behind Tony Allen, who I think averaged 20.4. Matisse Thybulle makes the second team all defense at 20 minutes a game. I don't know, just amazing. They have 3 guys in the top 2 teams. I was thinking about Embiid. This is not the greatest time to do it. So Embiid is second team all defense, and that's arguable for sure. Like, you could certainly, Gobert has a fine case for first team all defense. And then if there was an all offense team, I believe the center would be Jokic first team and Embiid would be second team. The amazing thing is,
you can make the case for like Vucevic.
Sure.
He's so good offensively, but yeah, I mean, I think Embiid's a better offensive player, but like, I wonder if statistically, because of just like effective jump shooting and stuff, if like Vucevic would get a push. But yeah,
it just makes me think about how good he is when you think about the reverse, right? Like, if you thought about where Gobert would rank if there was an all offense team, he would be like 15th or whatever, and then where Jokic would rank, if it was all defense, he would be in the 20s somewhere. And I just think it's a statement about how good Embiid is. But congratulations to Simmons, obviously, for first team, and Thybulle for the incredible feat of making second team with 20 minutes a game.
Yeah, ridiculous. And I wonder, I think if it's slightly a bummer that Embiid, Simmons, Thybulle are on this team now when offensive efficiency is at its highest point in like decades. I think if we had these 3 guys in like 2006, then we'd be just choking teams out and really it would be even more evident how good they are defensively. In this time, it's like you can only do so much because guys are just better offensively than they have been before, and the game is refereed in a way that allows them to be better offensively than in previous generations. So I feel slightly like, obviously all 3 guys are excellent, and the Sixers are an excellent defensive team, but you would think that having those 3 guys, plus Danny Green, who's a solid defender, plus Tobias, who's solid, plus George Hill, et cetera, would allow for like games where they just give up like 71 points to like a good offense. Like, you'd think that there'd be some more of that, but I think just offenses are so good these days and find ways to get shots, and it's just so hard to defend out to the perimeter that far over and over again that you just, it's impossible. But I mean, it's an incredible feat, and all 3 guys are very deserving. And Giannis I'll talk, you say what you're going to say, and then I'll say that Giannis doesn't deserve first team, which is ridiculous.
Well, I don't think, like, Giannis, I think is at this point overrated defensively. I think, like,
totally. He has no business being on first team on defense. Like, he doesn't cover the best player, usually not the second best player,
and he's not like a rim protector guy either. Like, he doesn't have the effect that a Gobert or an Embiid has. Like,
he plays with Brook Lopez, who is a good rim protector. Giannis has no business being on this team.
And by the way,
really ridiculous.
He plays with Drew Holiday, and Drew Holiday covers the best perimeter guy, and Chris Middleton's a decent defensive player too. Like he is versatile defensively, and he is effective defensively, but he's not as good as, I can't believe he won Defensive Player of the Year.
The fact that he's on first team and Kawhi is insane. I think Jimmy Butler deserves it more. I think Marcus Smart deserves it more. There's like a ton of. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
All you need to do game 4 is going on right now, but if you watch game 3, Clippers versus Jazz, and I know it's not a playoff award, it's a regular season award, but just looking at what Kawhi did to Donovan Mitchell, he just the guy couldn't get anywhere. He's definitely better. Yeah, I agree.
It's very reputational. And I'm not saying this because I think either Matisse or Joel deserve first team. I don't. I think that they're placed accurately under this positional, the way it's decided. But he just straight up doesn't deserve it. I like Giannis. I don't dislike Giannis. Maybe I'm starting to. I don't know. But like, defensively, he doesn't deserve to be considered among the greats because he doesn't do it enough. And they give him these cake assignments. And offensively, God, that video of him with Blake on him, just like doing nothing, having absolutely no move whatsoever, is troubling, like really alarming. And people are just begging him to stop shooting because he's not good enough at it. There was a time when like Embiid and Giannis were like thought of as like similar jump shooters, and it's just not even fucking close how much better Embiid is as a player.
Yeah. So we'll just get to the other playoff series. So Jokic, whose best ability was availability, no longer available in that they got swept by the Suns, who are looking mighty, like awesome, like just full team. Every player does something good. Like Suns are looking fucking great. But the big story is Kyrie Irving sprains his ankle, looked pretty bad, obviously out for game 5. Harden's out for game 5. Someone told me, like, I don't know how reliable it is, that Harden is definitely out for the rest of the series. I would guess Irving doesn't play for at least 2 games. Like, I don't know. I sprained my ankle as like 16. I couldn't walk right for a month.
Well, obviously all ankle sprains are different, and
yeah,
NBA players they'll do, I think, smart to just rule them both out for tomorrow. And so they can just see if they can steal one at home. And if they don't, then I think one or both will be back for game 6.
You think?
If they're down 3-2, I think absolutely at least one is going to be back. I don't think that I think like it's the kind of thing where they're just going to play. Like it's especially an ankle. There's limited things that you can really do worse to it. You just kind of fight through the pain. A hamstring can get a lot worse.
Yeah.
But
I'm doubting Harden. I'm doubting
being
Harden.
out there, I think, and just being a factor. And even if he's playing like at 60% or something like that, then I think they'll try to. I don't think it'll be Brooklyn being like, we're forcing these guys to play. I think it'll be Kyrie and Harden being like, one of us has to get in there because you can't just lose 4 straight to the Bucks. They're not going to take that line down. But it'll be interesting. I mean, it's an interesting series, and the Bucks are benefiting from it. And I think the Sixers, if Embiid's healthy and they just take care of business against the Hawks, which they haven't been, they should beat either team especially if Brooklyn is
if Embiid's healthy, which he's not.
Yes,
and if they take care of business against the Bucks, the Hawks, which they haven't.
That's right. But yes, if those things with the Nets banged up, I think the Sixers. This is the opportunity. Like this is the opportunity. Like every championship run needs an opportunity, needs a window, and for whatever reason, we don't know what next season and the season after is going to look like. We can't assume that it's just going to look like this forever. We can't assume that Embiid's going to be fighting through pain, but mostly fine forever. Like you just don't know. You straight up don't know. The window ends quicker than you think it will, and it's open right now. The Suns are very, very good. I think they're going to get to the championship, and I think I've been saying that for a while. I think they're excellent, and I think they could absolutely beat the Sixers. But they're certainly not some Warriors type powerhouse team.
There's no team like that this year.
No, there's not. It's now. Like they got to be now. If the process Sixers are going to win a fucking championship, it might have to happen this year. And I hope it happens in many years, but we just don't know that. And everyone needs to just like take it upon themselves to no longer play with their food, to not fuck around, to not play like hard for 35 minutes and coast the extra 13, whatever it is, for Doc to not like, let's give a practice half before I start really coaching, which he did in game 1. Like everybody's got to be bringing it, and they're not enough. And I'm choking myself, so I know I'm bringing it. So it just has to happen now. I'm not eating any food right now. It's sitting out there getting cold. We can't fuck around, and they have been, and hopefully they just win the next 2 games, and Embiid is fine, and they can await the winner of whichever banged up team we get. But so far, like they're not grabbing it, and they need to grab it.
And the last thing I wanted to bring up that I teased, did you read the Athletic article about the Mavericks?
No, it was at work. I saw it. I saw people laughing about it, but and I saw Cuban's response to it.
I didn't see what he said. What did he say?
He said total bullshit.
Oh, well.
But what else would he say?
Yeah, well, but also, I saw a lot of like funny responses. Like the first one I thought was funny. Obviously, this story was leaked by other front office members who don't like how much pull Bob Voulgaris has in the NBA front office. The other thing that I thought was funny is like, well, people were sort of like roasting Haralabob for us, like, oh, what makes him think he knows what he's doing? Well, I don't know. Somebody's got to learn how to do it. Like, it's not like you have to learn from coming to playing basketball. And the guy analyzed basketball as much as like anybody. He was pretty good at analyzing basketball.
But it's different to analyze it from a gambling perspective versus from like a strategic, how to coach, how to like acquisitional situation. And I guess it's not his fault for like taking whatever responsibility he gets, but like a competent front office should not be the loudest voice as the article claims that he is, or the headline claimed that he is. Like, him being the most important player. I'm sure you're right about it being leaked by people that don't like him or don't like the responsibilities he has. But it's rather insane that this incompetent front office that's already had like as an organization, like awful workplace harassment culture situation. And now these aren't the same, but they're like certainly evidence of poor decision making and Cuban like not running a tight ship over there.
You picked him to win the title this year. You did. It's okay. We're all wrong. But I'm just saying
that was predictive. That's not reactive. I'm reacting to what the article says, and now they're being. I don't think. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I thought they'd be better. They had a couple good runs in them, but they weren't good enough. Porzingis sucked. I think those are different things. But like, you look back and go, what?
I guess what I'm saying is like, I don't know that an article that obviously that came from people who are clearly like jealous of the pull that he has. And by the way, it's not, he didn't just win like a gambler.
It might not be just jealousy. It might be like some player's agent or like Trae, like Luka's agent or something being like, why is this guy fucking involved in this shit? We don't think that he knows what the fuck he's talking about. Like, it doesn't have to necessarily be like other guys in the front office.
No, there were specific instances in there were specific instances in the article about like what happened in their draft room.
Sure.
That certainly came from somebody. I don't know how high up that person was. And look, maybe Luka should get on a fucking treadmill and not shoot 25% in the fourth quarter in the playoffs. I think it's possible, based on how he analyzed games for the second half of his gambling career, that he knows what he's talking about. Doesn't mean he knows everything, but I think it's possible he knows what he's talking about. That's all
I think that is slightly insane. Why? He might know what he's talking about gambling, but to run an organization like that and to be charged, like, I'm not saying he's not he couldn't be like a voice, like in the way that fucking what's his name was on the Clippers. What's his name? The journalist, Lee Jenkins. Yeah. I'm not saying like, hey, listen to a bunch of different perspectives. Why not? But if he's like the shadow GM, I think insane. I think it's an insane thing. If someone made me a shadow GM right away, I don't think that would be good. I think I have strong opinions, but I don't think someone should grant me the responsibilities of like being in charge at this point. And isn't he only there for like a year or two? Like, I don't know. You believe in, I guess, like the art or skill of like gambling predictivity than I do, but I think those are just very different things.
Well, but it doesn't, being good at gambling obviously doesn't mean that you can analyze players, but it also doesn't make it prohibitive that I would say that somebody that is the best of all time at basketball gambling, it is possible that he has a brain that would operate in a way that would make him also good at knowing when it's good to take a player out or what lineups are good, because you've analyzed which lineups are good based on what coaches do, based on like, that's what he did. His entire model was based on coaching decisions and lineups and situations and all those things. And I just think somebody who thinks like that has a good chance of being good at this. That's all. Like, he certainly has as much history as, and it's not like it went well, but like why does Alex Rucker get to run a team?
Well, because he's been in front offices and you come up through the system and you learn, and you're not given the responsibility like a year or two into like coming off of like working for whatever gambling site that he was at.
It wasn't a gambling site. It was him. It was just like him.
I don't give a shit. I think those are different things. I think if this happened to the Sixers, I'd be like losing my mind. I'd be absolutely like taking off like a cannon into outer space, just like fiery red with anger that we let some like degenerate like take over the organization and get like hoodwinking some like private equity guys into doing it.
There were chapters, and I don't know if you've ever read it. Like Nate Silver wrote a book called The Signal and the Noise, and there's like an entire chapter on Bob Voulgaris, like an entire chapter on how good he is with numbers. I don't understand how we as like the podcast that got behind Sam Hinkie could say that this other guy who was also good and came from, and by the way, our guy came from like a hedge fund. Like he worked for.
So Hinkie worked for Dow for years and years before that. He worked for like 8 years.
But before that, he worked for Bain. Like you got to come from somewhere. And I'm just saying.
But I think like you come from somewhere and then you learn for a number of years under people that are good, and then maybe you can get a chance elsewhere. If Hinkie came straight from whatever private equity bullshit right to the Sixers, I would be like, fuck this guy. Like who is this random like connection that just got gifted a job?
But he didn't get. Yeah. All right. His job was predicting basketball games.
I think those are just separate things. I just think those are deeply separate things. And especially in an organization when there's like human people to like deal with, you don't like, he clearly doesn't know the vibe. Like if someone came into my comedy room and was like, I am a comedy genius and I've studied the art of comedy and I know everything about it. But like there's humans in a comedy room and like how to behave. And I'm sure that coming off the street into the situation and then going, it doesn't matter. I get the vibe. I get the vibe. If someone came into the room and was just like, I know what I'm doing. I know everything. Like I make me in charge, which happens too often. Then it's just like it's going to rub everybody else the wrong way, which is why probably whoever assistant GM leaked this article. But it's like, who's this fucking guy? Just random person being the shadow GM? That would suck. I leaked the article. A different version of me leaked the article that I have not read.
I will take Haralabab over Alex Rucker. You can have Alex Rucker.
Okay.
Next game is Wednesday night. Boy, I hope Joel Embiid's okay. If Joel Embiid's okay, that feels like a win. But who the fuck knows anymore? So I hope he's okay. You have anything else? Any sign-offs?
No, just win 2 games. Win 2 games in a row, and let's never think about this Hawks team again.
All right. We'll talk to you Wednesday night. Are you done with TTP?
Trust the corgi. Yeah, you know, like face.